The blaster battles felt like they had meaningful stakes.
Meaningful stakes. Meaningful stakes.
With the release of Star Wars Outlaws quickly approaching, one would imagine the hype for this game has never been higher. But instead, as Outlaws gameplay has come to light and players have gotten their hands on the game, concern for the quality of this release has quickly grown. Originally, many players were rightfully apprehensive when they heard Ubisoft was involved with a Star Wars game. Their recent track record has left a noticeable stain on Ubisoft's once great legacy. However, many fans like myself were still optimistic about Outlaws and enjoyed the initial trailers and scenes. That being said, in the past few weeks, many glaring issues have come to light, and these new leaks and gameplay footage have me worried about Star Wars' newest game. As I watch clips such as this, where the gunplay looks highly repetitive and the AI appears to be oblivious, I wonder, how did it come to this? How did a publisher with a backlog of so many classics turn into a company that seems to not understand what made its games great in the first place? Why does the mention of Ubisoft now drive players away, and what on earth is happening with Star Wars Outlaws? I decided to find out.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Starting with what initially drove me to make this video, Star Wars Outlaws has been the talk of the gaming community since its announcement, for obvious reasons. I mean, the concept sounds great. A GTA-style Star Wars game with an open world, spaceship combat, and a wanted system. What could go wrong? Well, it seems the claims of Star Wars Outlaws being an immersive open world, do anything you want Star Wars game come with a big asterisk. For starters, the friendly NPCs and civilians populating the game are untouchable. Yes, this is a smaller detail, but it seems ironic for a game titled Outlaws to prevent you from, well, being an outlaw. I mean, the game director has quite literally claimed that the game offers the full spectrum fantasy of the thief, gunslinger, and resourceful underdog. So, where's the thieving? Now yeah, this is a smaller detail that I could have easily accepted and still been content, eagerly waiting to sink my teeth into all the other aspects of the game. However, over the past couple of weeks, as gameplay of Outlaws has started to appear on IGN, Twitter, and the channels of many Star Wars influencers, I became nervous. I mean, look at this.
What was that? Nah, it's nothing.
Part of me really wants to give Star Wars Outlaws the benefit of the doubt. Phrases like, this is all pre-release, the game isn't even out yet. I'm sure this is just a minor bug that will be patched. Or, many open world games experience the same issues, ring through my head. But it is so hard to get back on board the hype train when this is exactly what many had predicted would happen with Ubisoft at the helm.
Thinking this time is going to be different.
Ubisoft, like many major game publishers, has been circling the drain for a while now. Star Wars Outlaws is merely where Ubisoft's fall has brought us. It can be hard to remember, but Ubisoft wasn't always the greed-obsessed, pre-order first, fix game later company that it is now. Growing up, a large majority of my gaming memories stem from Ubisoft. The early Far Cry's, Assassin's Creed games, Rayman and the Raving Rabbids all share a special place in my heart. But its recent releases, such as Far Cry 6 or Skull and Bones, have fallen very short of expectations. Somewhere along the way, the care and passion that were put into games like Black Flag and Far Cry 3 just died and were replaced by a corporate husk shelling out NFTs and dangling $40 DLCs for games that aren't even released yet. Why? I can understand corporations and publishing companies' main focus is to make more money and keep profits high. That's fair. But such transparent negligence for treating players with respect and listening to their feedback doesn't seem like the right way to increase revenue. And it's not. Looking at Ubisoft's recent stock price after their shareholders call a couple weeks ago, it's apparent that this way of thinking isn't panning out well for them. So when did this start? Well, from what I can tell, the tipping point for Ubisoft came in late 2019 through 2020. Now yes, while there were many issues plaguing the company prior to this is the most notable dip in quality that I can see. With the rushed, unfinished release of both Ghost Recon Breakpoint and Watch Dogs Legion, anything Ubisoft touched post-2020 has had the same mix of repetitive open world formulas, microtransactions, and bugged launches. Besides Assassin's Creed Valhalla, it can be very hard to find anything in recent years that Ubisoft has done well. Mirage received mixed reviews, the new Avatar game was lackluster, and I don't really feel the need to go into any more detail on what happened with Skull and Bones. Anyway, back to the original question. How does this all tie into Star Wars Outlaws? Well, Outlaws is shaping up to be the perfect storm of everything that has gone wrong with Ubisoft over the past couple years. The repetitive gameplay, lackluster AI, and questionable design choices we're seeing in Outlaws are not isolated incidents. They're symptoms of a much deeper problem within Ubisoft. Take the untouchable NPCs for example. This decision seems minor, but it reflects Ubisoft's shift away from creating immersive player-driven experiences and toward a more sanitized, formulaic approach. It's as if the creative risk that made games like Assassin's Creed Black Flag and Far Cry 3 so memorable have been replaced by a fear of stepping outside the corporate safety net. Not to mention the teasing of a $40 DLC for Star Wars Outlaws before it releases. Locking Lando behind a paywall has got to be one of the most blatantly disrespectful and irresponsibly naive moves I've ever seen from a gaming company. I mean, even EA got this right. Imagine if, in Jedi Survivor, instead of discovering Boba Fett after completing all the bounty missions, EA announced before the game's release that you could see Boba Fett for $20 or something like that. It's an insane choice not to just add Lando to the game or leave him out, but instead to dangle his character like candy in front of Star Wars players for $40. It's a pretty sorry state for a publishing company when an EA comparison makes you look worse. And then there's the issue of polish, or rather, the lack thereof. The bugs and glitches we've already seen in early Outlaws footage echo the issues that plagued games like Watch Dogs Legion and Skull and Bones at launch. Ubisoft's habit of releasing games before they're ready, banking on post-launch patches to fix the issues, is a clear indication that the company's priorities have shifted. They're much more focused on hitting release dates and monetization targets than delivering a finished, quality product. So when I look at Star Wars Outlaws, I don't just see a game that might fall short of its potential. I see a reflection of everything that has gone wrong with Ubisoft as a company. It's a game that had the chance to be a completely unique experience, but instead, it's appearing to be held back by the very issues that have caused players to lose faith in Ubisoft as a publisher. And that's what makes Outlaws so concerning. If Ubisoft can't turn things around with a game set in a franchise as high profile and beloved as Star Wars, what does that say about the future of the company? If Outlaws fails to deliver, it might not just be the end of Ubisoft's credibility with gamers, it could be the final nail in the coffin for a company that once stood at the pinnacle of the gaming industry. I mean, reports have already surfaced that Ubisoft has shown interest in being acquired, but was laughed away. As a huge fan of Star Wars and great games in general, I of course am still holding out hope that this game succeeds in delivering a compelling story and immersive gameplay. However, my optimism has severely dwindled as of late. While I definitely won't be pre-ordering the game, and I actually recommend no one does, I will still be keeping an eye on its release, hoping for the best, but preparing for the worst.
Ubisoft is such a large company and releases so many games each year, I could easily spend 30 minutes to even an hour dissecting each game and seeing how we ended up with Star Wars Outlaws. There's still so much information I wish I had time to dive into that I will probably go through in my next few streams. Anyways, I want to give a huge shout out to everyone who recently found the channel. Over the past week, we hit 200 subscribers, which is a gigantic milestone for myself. It looks like we're about to break 300, which I can't even describe how much that means to me. Thank you to everyone who found the channel and decided to stick around. It means a lot, and I really appreciate each and every one of you. That being said, make sure to leave a comment on not just how you felt about this video, but what kind of videos you'd like to see in the future. I'd love hearing y'all's feedback. As always, thank you for watching. Remember to leave a like and consider subscribing if you enjoyed the video. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.